Zakir Naik is my hero.
It all depends on how honest we are in accepting the truths. There are essentially two issues here. First of all, I totally condemn this abhorrent stone pelting on the Garba celebrations. It's absolutely dastardly, and I'm happy that the criminals have been punished. But they should be punished according to the law. I'll come to that in a minute. But one on the stone pelting itself. You know, first it was Ram Navami processions, then Durga processions that Swati, a journalist, has been meticulously cataloging, and now Garba. We have to accept that all around us, all we see are Darawa Musalmans, Rahul. From Jammu, where Darawa Musalmans are shouting from top of mosque that they will behead Nupur Tiwari and all those who oppose Azan and Hijab, to Hubli, where Darawa Musalmans are pouring onto the streets because some Hindu kid photoshopped a Bhagwa flag. From Mumbai, where Darawa Musalmans are gathering in their tens of thousands for the funeral of a terrorist, Yaqub Memon. To Srinagar, where Darawa Musalmans are collecting for the funeral of terrorist Burhan Wani. From Aurangabad, where Darawa Musalmans are rioting in the streets because someone Facebook post said Aurangzeb was a mass murderer. To Assam, where Darawa Musalmans are burning down a police station. Everywhere you look, we see our Darawa Musalmans. Only the Hindus are fearless. As I said, I condemn this stone pelting incident on Garba by Muslims. That said, I also condemn the public thrashing of the perpetrators by the police. We are not an Islamic country, last I checked, dispensing Sharia justice. The policemen who beat the criminals like that should be taken to task. Now on the second issue, Rahul, very briefly, on the restrictions that you mentioned on Muslims being allowed for Garba. Look, Hinduism is an open forum, a way of religion, a way of life more than a religion, welcoming all. And besides, as an atheist or the Charvas, you can say, I have no issues. The more the merrier, according to me. But let me dissect this further. Number one, if you consider this a religious issue, Garba celebrates the womb, or Garbha. Hindus dance around a clay lamp, Garbhadeep, symbolizing the divine womb encarned in a body. Muslims expressly forbidden to worship anyone other than Allah. And Waris Pathan knows about this. He had to publicly apologize for chanting Ganpati Bappa Boria. They are forbidden. 4062, 1722, 1240, 364, 555. But still, I say they are welcome to worship Ma Durga, Aditi and her womb. Number two, will you accept what Islam says about non-Muslims? No one has the right to be worshipped but Allah. 4062. Those who deny the Quran, their necks will be shackled. 4070. Polytheists, Hindus are the worst of creatures. Abhi unke garba mein jana chahte ho aap 98-6. Fight against those who do not believe in Allah and who do not adopt Islam. Fight them until they give the jizya while they are humble. 929. Do not marry the polytheist Hindu women unless they convert. 221. Those who disbelieve in our worship, we will drive them into fire. 456. Finally, 3. If you consider Garba as a celebration, then I want to ask, how many mosques organize a Garba? How many? Out of tens of thousands of events that take place on Garba, how many are taking place in a mosque? Also, I want to celebrate science and I want to visit the Kaaba and inspect what is embedded in its eastern wall, the wondrous black stone, a meteorite fragment that once floated on water like pumice. But I am not allowed to, as I am not a Muslim. Neither is my geologist friend. I am disappointed. But should I hate Muslims for not allowing me to celebrate science? No.
Zakir Naik is my hero. He opened my eyes. He is not guilty either of radicalizing Muslim youth or inventing hate, because you do not radicalize or invent hate simply by quoting a book. He has been made a convenient scapegoat by Muslims who are Islamophobic. That is, they fear Islam. They fear to bring out the orders and the commandments of their holy book in its entirety on Jews, Christians, polytheists, homosexuality, apostasy, heresy, dress code, wife beating, blasphemy, because they fear being called illiberal and hypocrites. So they end up condemning and branding as radicals the Muslims who are faithfully following the fundamentals. They snare the fundamentalists and spare the fundamentals. Zakir is unapologetic about the fundamentals. Stopping Naik from quoting what is written in the holy book is like preventing me, Navika, from quoting what is written in Darwin's Origin of Species. We are just the medium. How are we guilty? One really wonders if the Muslims who criticize Zakir Naik even realize how utterly foolish and hypocritical they sound. Or perhaps they are putting to practice 328, the Taqiyya verse. Let not believers take disbelievers as allies except when taking precaution against them in prudence. Look, a practicing Muslim who believes in the Sharia and every single word that there is in the Holy Quran is a good Muslim. While a Muslim who drinks, fornicates, indulges in idle talk or music, supports Muslim women who reject the burqa, draws a portrait of whosoever he wishes to, marries a non-Muslim, is homosexual, gives equal share of inheritance to females, and is fine with all his fellow Muslims being all of the above, is a bad Muslim. Zakir Naik is a good Muslim. He believes resolutely in the Holy Quran and he quotes the verses precisely as how they are meant to be. Allah has defined who is a good Muslim or not. 33, 36, 3, 132, 8, 2, 49, 5. The point is, now we got just 30 seconds. When Naik says, those who abuse Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter and prepared for them a humiliating punishment. He is only quoting 33:57. When he says, those who disbelieve in our verses, we will drive them into a fire. He is only quoting 4:56. When he says that a caste chronicling Kaun Jaat or Hindu journalist, even though he is Muslim friendly, will still go to hell. He is only quoting 21:98. When he says polytheists are the worst of creatures, he is only quoting 96. Now we got just 10 seconds. So are you telling me Zakir Naik is preaching hate because he is quoting hate? Then have the guts to say so. Actually, please don't. I want your head to remain satisfactorily attached
to my fellow panelists and artists. Congratulations to Jesai on the second book of his trilogy. Rahul, this Sar Tan Se Juda slogan is barbaric and unacceptable in a civilized society. But there are two issues here. Number one, we need to accept that we are simply biding time. I am very comfortable with it. As Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore said, and I quote him, Islam has distinct enmity against all other religions. It is not just satisfied with observing its own religion, but is determined to destroy all other religions, unquote. So the millions who pour onto the streets demanding Sar Tan Se Juda, they are not mad, Rahul. They are not fanatics. They are simply following religious fundamentals. Allah has specifically ordered that those who abuse Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter and prepared for them a humiliating punishment, unquote, 33:57. And that the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger, the crime Ayatollah Khomeini accused Rushdie of all those decades ago, is that they be killed 533, unquote. For 1.8 billion Muslims, Allah's word is inviolable. We need to understand, anyone who is perceived to have blasphemed will sooner or later meet the fate of Kamlesh Tiwari and Samuel Paty. It may take a day or decades, but we need to understand this. And moderate Muslims can play the victim card as much as they want, but they are the ones who are Islamophobic. That is, they fear Islam. They fear to bring out the commandments of their holy book in their entirety because they fear being called illiberal and hypocrites. So they end up condemning and branding as radicals the poor Muslims who are faithfully following the fundamentals. वो कह रहा है हमारी क्या गलती है भाई? Now let me come to the second issue, which is academic and important as well. Why, one may ask, if I am a free speech absolutist, do I say Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza Sar Tan Se Juda slogan is unacceptable? Aren't these mere words? After all, rhetorically, I can ask, there are dozens of verses that call for way more violence against the kafirs than this slogan. 4:56, 40, 70, 8, 12, 22, 19. But we haven't redacted or banned those, have we? So why this double standard? Well, let me club this with two other slogans, Rahul, that equally call for a violent retribution. देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को, and तिलक तराजू और तलवार इनको मारो जूते चार, what Mayawati said. If you want people arrested for chanting देश के गद्दारों को, then why should those chanting Sar Tan Se Juda or Tilak Tarazu also not be arrested? After all three slogans call for violence. The first against blasphemers, the second against traitors, and the third against the upper caste. And all of them aren't asking the judiciary or the police to dispense this punishment. It is an open-ended, extrajudicial, extra-constitution call to everyone and anyone. And in a mob, that is problematic. Let's test this theory. What would happen if we put Nupur amid a mob chanting Sar Tan Se Juda, or Afzal Guru amid a mob chanting Desh ke Gaddaron ko, or a Brahmin amid a mob chanting Tilak Tarazu or Maro Jute Char? They would be lynched. Therefore, it follows that these slogans aren't mere words when chanted by a mob, like many violent verses are. And it follows that any mob chanting it must be prosecuted to the last man, woman, and, as you showed disturbingly, child.